with a boom, bop, and a pow. Welcome back.
That's why we need him back.
To the Point Taken Christian podcast. This is the podcast where we make and take spiritual and biblical questions. And we chat them up.
Anna.
Dude, Anna really dropped the ball on that one
sorry.
with her
Wow.
unsweet tea.
Okay, it's not unsweet.
It is unsweet.
No,
I've had
it's
like, okay, look, I'm going to try again.
I put half and half, so half sweet, half unsweet.
Half and half is for coffee.
No.
Yes, it is.
I put
This is-
half and half.
this is
half
classic
of sweet, half of unsweet.
Glass half full,
and you're
half
the one
empty.
who keeps drinking it and complaining about it.
You know, that is true. Thank you for sharing.
It's
You're
really
I
welcome.
had some of
half
Lowell's
empty of
coffee,
sweet.
but it was lukewarm. And I almost Jesused it. Lukewarm is.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
there it
Oh,
is.
okay. You took me.
There it is. I mean,
It's a biblical reference. Yeah.
Can we try it? Can we try it again?
Yes, sir.
This is the podcast where we make and take spiritual and biblical questions and
chat it up.
My name is Hunter. I'm the host of this podcast. To my right is the wonderful Anna, who's never dropped a ball in her life.
I'm perfect.
Her glass is half
She's
empty of sweet tea.
Not.
And to the farthest is our beloved, wonderful pastor, Josiah Shipley.
And the crowd erupts that I am not hosting anymore.
Yes. I'm erupting.
And I am one of them, and so is Anna.
Welcome
But then I
back,
said,
Hunter.
Anna, can you do any better? She goes, absolutely not. We need Hunter back. That's
Yeah.
exactly what happened.
Look,
Yeah.
we want to talk about the crowd erupting.
That phone looks girly.
Yeah,
Oh, it's Anna's. Okay.
It's Anna's. I can't even get to the code. I'm so sorry. Why
You-
is there a code?
you
if it
forgot
needs
the
a
code?
No, I can't get to the point
You
where
have
it
to
asks a
swipe
question.
up.
Oh, okay. Well, that was my fault.
Is that an iPhone?
Android.
Android.
Yeah, so that's
I
why
got
I
it
don't
for
know how to
free.
use it.
It's the only reason why I have
We want to talk about crowds erupting. This episode is going to be, dare I say it, a hoot. Maybe even a hoot and a half.
What was that Facebook meme I saw? Hootin' is the gateway drug to hollering.
Yeah, I posted that. Hootin's a gateway drug to hollering. Listen,
I love it.
you guys clicked on this video. All right, you know what it's about.
And maybe you shouldn't have, but you're locked in now.
Pastor Josiah doesn't know what it's about. But
You know,
we
some-
know what it's
sometimes-
I don't.
sometimes-
This will be a pure reaction.
Yeah, sometimes on this podcast we have opener questions, and we talk about our week and how God has blessed us, and that's something that I really enjoy. But you know why you're here for this episode.
Right.
You know what we're talking about today, and we need to get into this, and we need to talk about this immediately.
But again, I don't know what it is yet.
Now, Pastor Josiah is the one in the room that does not know what this is at all, okay? We all know in this room, at least to some type of extent.
And just so everyone be aware, there's 8 people in this room.
I'm so excited.
And I apparently roasted him
Yeah,
in the group
and his
chat.
exact phrase were, well, since you would have to be living under a rock to not know what this is,
or
we
be
can't do a
extremely
reaction to it.
sheltered, or be extremely
Yeah.
sheltered, and pastor's just like ... Why would it be unusual?
I believe I
for
put like
someone
6
to know what
dots.
it
He
is?
said, he put his fingers together. Sheltered? Really?
I was like, crap. I put
Hey, this is Pete, the rock I'm living under.
Guys, let's get right into this, okay? Now, we're going to take it seriously. The funny part is watching our pastor be, I don't know, sullied by this knowledge.
Should we put a disclaimer on this if you have children around?
Yeah, okay, listen. What we're about to be talking about is somewhat explicit, and is certainly not wholesome. So if you are the type that would like to, shield children from this knowledge, take away every piece of internet that they have access to first, and then don't let them watch this podcast. Okay.
Put your earbuds in.
Because if they have a phone, they probably know something about this, okay?
But Pastor Josiah doesn't know what it is.
Pastor Josiah
I
doesn't-
have a phone.
he uses his phone to text and watch Yellowstone.
He's
Am
like,
I wrong?
That's accurate.
Those are 2 things. I watch Yellowstone with my wife.
On the TV.
Yeah. Well, I cast it from that to that. So
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's
Fancy.
awesome that I got that. Okay. Guys, this is a listener question that we have. And we'll keep the name private. And I'm gonna read this to you guys, and we're gonna talk about it. Okay. Hello. I've been watching your podcast for a couple months now, and I think it's really good. Thank you. We think so too. I saw you guys had your email listed and wanted to ask you a question. So I'm 18. I have this friend. She told me recently that she's this thing called a Therian or a furry. Now, I've never used the word Therian. That one was actually
That was new
new
for me.
knowledge to me. So I learned something there. I'm still not quite sure what it is. Well, do we have news for you? But I asked my mom and dad about it. And my dad said that it's something that sinners participate in. And he's right.
We'll get into it.
All right.
Oh, I just loved that wording because that's exactly how I would have said it. I want to support my friend, but I don't know if it would be okay or not. If you would answer my question, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, that's a very fair question. It's very awesome that you asked, okay? I can go ahead and short answer it for you. No. Okay, it's not okay to support. Now, here's the why and the how and all that. So for those watching that looked on your YouTube page and you saw the word furry.
We're gonna put that in my title. Good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Got it.
Sure.
Nick, there it is, bro.
And you saw the word furry. Now, I don't know if YouTube allows that or not.
Can you spell it?
F-U-R-R-Y.
Okay.
Okay, F-U-R... Don't show that yet. I love you, Anna. Okay, hold
I
on.
want to get his reaction.
Yeah, once we've said what it is, I want you to show that to Pastor Josiah. Okay. For those of you
I'm laughing already. I haven't seen it, dude. He's about to.
who saw
He's been gone too long. He's trying to get him.
who either saw the word furry in the YouTube, or if that wasn't allowed, maybe we can use the word Therian or something. You might not know what it is. Okay? So let me go ahead and tell you a couple things, and I can tag team with Anna on this. A couple things about our furry friends. Okay. All right. So, Pastor Josiah, I'm going to talk directly to you.
All right, I'm ready.
And you are going to be the stand-in for every listener out there today.
Okay, here we go.
And I want to go ahead and apologize both to...
This is the most preemptive work I've
Yeah.
ever seen for a definition. in
I
my
would
entire
like
life.
to go ahead and apologize both to my God, my country, and my father for having this information.
But your dad would be so
Okay, so a furry, you know about bestiality.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah.
Okay. Now, a furry is not exactly somebody, like, to be fair.
The fact that you use that as your starting point.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, there has to be a
I now have the
basis.
mode for where we're going.
Yes,
here.
but there's a depth to it that you need to understand. To get to our question, you need to understand what our listener's friend is really doing, right? So it's not necessarily that they look at the family dog and say, nice.
Please tell me this isn't their hope. All right, go ahead.
It's not. It's not necessarily. Now, there are exceptions to every rule. Maybe there are some who also are just straight up into real animals. But a furry typically wants a humanoid version.
They want a person pretending to be an animal.
Correct. Have you ever seen the
No,
movie?
I haven't seen that.
No.
Okay.
You're going to say yes to
That's
this. Have you ever
funny.
seen the movie Zootopia?
The one
Is
with-
that the one where the DMV is a sloth?
Yes.
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 That is one of their favorite movies in the world. Because it's a bunch of humanoid animals. They want, most of the time they're walking on 2 feet. They have their abs and their pecs. The women have all the normal stuff. It's just they're covered in fur, and they have tails,
So-
ears.
These are humans who want a human partner that looks like an animal.
Now, I want to go ahead and hit them with this flashbang of a picture.
Jeez.
Show the camera.
I want to say zoom in.
I think it's just perfect timing just to absolutely slap you on the side of the head with that. Now that
Your face
pastor,
is so red.
that pastor is what they call a fursuit.
It's almost
Now,
like a
y'all aren't making
mascot.
this up. This
No.
No, this furry costume.
If you go to college today, you will see somebody wearing.
No, it's just a mascot now.
No.
It looks like a mascot costume, but people wear this. It's like almost like a cosplay thing. Some people
Yeah.
do it for sexual fetishes.
Yes.
Others do it as they identify as something else. It's like their
Yeah.
They
alter-
identify.
I'll tell
yes,
you.
you can identify.
No,
as a
I'll tell
furry.
you the real word for it. They will hire artists if they're not one themselves.
And, like,
I have
movies.
noticed most of the sexually depraved have
Yeah,
artistic
you
ability.
can turn your
I don't know if anybody else has noticed that.
phone off now.
But if they're not already an artist, they will hire an artist and describe what they want to look like in this animal form for them to draw them for them. And that is called their fursona.
Stop. No way.
That's a real thing, yeah.
That's funny.
Not persona, it's your fursona. And so, so they'll have their persona as like their profile pictures, and then they'll get online and they'll role play, with other people in a chat room. So
You mean like these people are like barking?
no, yes.
They'll
Now-
like lick their
Oh,
cat, and they'll
gee.
like.
Oh,
lick
Well,
their
they'll
hands,
do
like
they'll
their
do this,
fur.
Pastor, and this. They speak in role play.
My next
script.
question is, how do you know this exists?
I have a phone,
Internet.
internet. Mostly,
sure
most.
TLC
This
does
is the
it.
So
most
if
made
you were to
fun
go to
of
my
thing.
YouTube search right now, you'd
No,
find some
not on
basketball
YouTube.
highlights. You'd find
Not on
No.
YouTube. You have to find screenshots
Reddit.
of things on Reddit, Tumblr, Lord's sake, and all Twitter or whatever. But most of the time, if you come across these chains of talking and all that stuff, you'll find it. And then memes is huge. This is one of the most made fun of, fetishes or whatever that exists.
all right.
But yeah. And that's their persona. And I've been to Comic-Con, not the big one, but a small one in Arkansas. Dude was just walking around full fursuited. There were 2 of them. And then some people, like on college campus at U of M, I've been there, and they will have the tail. And I won't tell you how the tail is connected to them, but they have the tail. And and sometimes they'll just walk around with the paws. They not
But
usually
I'm gonna
wear the
make-
helmet.
You're not talking about like Go Tigers Go.
No, I'm talking.
No,
I'm talking.
like that.
I
that
am a
picture you
dog.
saw.
Now, do you remember? People tend to forget about this, but this is a real thing that happened. A couple years ago in the United States of America, there was a revolt on the northwestern side. I believe it might have been. I don't know if it was Seattle. It might have been Seattle, where they rose up and they created their own city called Chaz.
Yes.
And they were very liberal. They were against guns and everything, and they guarded their borders with guns. And a whole lot of people were trapped in Chaz.
It was a few city blocks. I remember this.
A lot of people were trapped in Chaz, and one of the things that Chaz had was a furry dog park, where you
I
could
did not know that.
yeah, you could go to the furry dog park in your fursuit, and you could
Furry
doggy style in public in your fursuits.
But like we said, not all furries have the sexual kink, if you will. Some of them
For
just,
real dogs.
Some of them like to just do it, kind of like the Comic-Con, like you had mentioned.
Yeah.
Some of them like to do it just as like you're dressing up. I mean, granted, I've never been to a Comic-Con, not really my thing. But some people dress up like as one of the characters that they might like from a book or like anime, like whatever. But these people like to identify as that, like have that as like an altered identity, or
Basically,
a second identity.
because there's not really like a source of media for furries, so you're not gonna find. I don't think you're gonna find somebody who's gonna dress up in a fursuit that isn't doing it because they're attracted to that. They're just not necessarily attracted to the family dog.
I think too that it's kind of, I mean, you're putting on a costume,
Yeah.
and so it gives you the option to hide, if
Yes,
you will.
it's unanimous.
Yeah.
Because not
Anonymous.
unanimous,
Anonymous.
anonymous.
Yeah, it's anonymous.
My bad. Certainly not unanimous. But it's anonymous. And you know, when an anonymity reaches away from the computer screen into public, dude, that's That's dangerous because it's already
But so, what part of that makes it sinful?
okay.
Is it sinful just to dress up? As answering our listener's question, is it just a sin if it's like the sexual kink, or is it is it a sin also if they were to just dress up and like have that as like an alternate identity?
That is a fantastic question. I want to answer it so bad, but I think it would be so much better if we let Pastor Josiah speak on it first.
Your
Do you need
knowledge.
time to process it? Okay.
No.
It looked like you were still processing.
I'm having trouble
so
taking this listener question seriously, but I'm going to pretend and give the benefit of doubt that it was a
Well-
serious question.
I'm saying kids these days are
Okay.
grown with it.
Yes.
So that's what I'm
Okay.
saying. I
With
said
this media
50% chance somebody's just playing with us, which, I find very funny if you are.
It makes for
but-
great content.
Yeah, I like that stuff that I
That's
find
one
very
word
funny.
for this.
Yeah, but if it's serious, this is something that a whole bunch of kids deal with because a lot of kids are
Yeah.
what we call iPad kids
Oh yeah.
who are raised by the
generation-
internet.
Gen Z, like all of that. I mean, you see all of this stuff on the internet.
All right, well,
so
then I
it's
guess we
very
got to
cool.
respond to it.
Yep.
Okay, go.
All
for it.
right. Would you like first honors
I don't
since you've
mind.
gone through the most trauma today?
Yeah, that was a lot, man.
He's like, you can stop scrolling.
Okay. And the question Anna's raising in response to the listener question is that sinful? Is that right?
Well, I know the answer. The part of just having like the alternate identity, is that sinful?
Okay.
According to
So moving
Scripture?
past the obvious
Yes.
sexual immorality,
Yes.
that's a given.
Right.
The answer would be yes, absolutely. Why? Human beings are created in the image of God. And that is something that I don't think we understand very well. Created in the image of God does not mean that God looks like us. That's not what we mean when we say we're created in the image of God. We are created in the image of God. First off, that as God is a trichotomy, so are we. Mind, body, spirit. Father, Son, Spirit. But more than that, of all of his creation, in all galaxies, in all the universe, throughout the planet, of all his creatures that he created, only one was created in his image, which is the ability to know him intimately and love him deeply. To know him intimately and love him deeply. Only humans have that ability. Isaiah says that the trees clap their hands for God, but they don't know why they're doing it. Okay? So the heavens do declare the glory of God, but they don't know why they're doing it. Lions do glorify God, but they don't know how or why they're doing it. They don't know what that concept is. Humans are created in the image of God in that we can know him intimately and love him deeply. That is a special creation of God. He has a blaze of miracles of creation in the first 2 chapters of Genesis. I mean, a blaze. Like, one sentence. Trillions upon trillions upon trillions of stars are created in one sentence. Right? And then he stops, and he stoops down, and he hand forms man and breathes his life into them. That's about as intimate of creation as you can imagine. When we say we are created in the image of God, we are able to know him intimately and love him deeply because we are created unique and special from all other creation. So, that is why it would be sinful, is because, purposely or not, you are making a mockery of the image of God that you bear. Every human being on planet Earth, believer or not, is an image bearer of our God. To downgrade yourself to something different, and look, just a total side note here, the Bible speaks several times about taking care of our animals and beasts and all that stuff. Don't muzzle the ox while it's trying to tread the grain. He who cares for his beasts, all that stuff. But there is not an equality of creation.
Right.
One
Right.
creation, he said, subdue the earth. One creation, he said, the rest of creation answers to you. The fear and dread of you will be on each of them. That creature is the one who has direct communication with God. So to not to ramble any longer, to make a mockery of that and pretend to be something less than that is a mockery of the image of God.
Very true.
Boom, pow,
Boom bop.
bop, beep, bop,
Beep bop boop.
beep,
Beep
boop,
bop.
boop,
No,
beep,
no.
boop, bop,
I think
beep,
what
boop,
you're
bop.
talking about is beep boop bop beep. Yeah. Now let's talk about why. Okay, you asked. Our listener asked, is it wrong to support my friend because I want to support my friend? I get wanting to support your friend. I get it because they're your friend. But you're not called to be nice and kind all the time. You are called to make your stand and to stand for what is good and what is right. So I am very careful about what I sign my name off on. Right? I'm not going to recommend every friend I have to my boss to work with me. I'm just not. And if somebody puts in their application and my boss says, "Hey, do you know this guy?" and I'll say yes. Is it a good worker? If I think you're not, then I would say no.
You tell the truth.
Yeah, because I'm not going to sign my name off on something that I cannot believe in or put
Right.
So morally and ethically, biblically, if it is not sound, then especially to my friend, I cannot sign off on that and say, "Go get him, Tiger." Literally. So, and here's why. Okay. Take, for example, fornication. Okay. Why is it a sin to have sex with somebody outside of marriage? Right? Why is it a sin for a man to sleep with a man or a woman with a woman? Why are these things wrong? Because we are given sex with a definition. The same way as we are given all things, when God makes something, he makes it to be a certain way. For example, marriage is a biblical concept. God made it. He made it with the definition one man, one woman under God.
Yep.
That is what marriage is. Any other thing other than that is called a legal union. So gay marriage was legalized because people and people groups have taken marriage from the biblical concept because governments realize, hey, this really works and this can really help and can, so for the overall benefit of this kingdom or this nation, marriage should be adopted into that. And that has gone all the way up to the United States of America. So they adopt the term marriage, but if two men are married, that's not a marriage. That's a legal union. Okay. In the same way, sex falls under that category. It is between a married man and a married woman, so long as they're married to each other, under God, right? Mirroring the love God has with this church. That's what sex is. And anything outside of that is no bueno. So, for example, covering each other in fur and pretending to be animals would not fall into that category of okay.
Pretty simple.
Yeah.
I hope we've said this before in this podcast. I hope everyone just heard how Hunter perfectly explained that, referring to marriage. People react so emotionally and so much hostility when a Christian says there is actually no such thing as gay marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Hunter's exactly right. It's not that we are saying the United States or Canada or England does not recognize gay marriage. That's not what we're saying. That would be ludicrous. Obviously, That's true. We're saying that the fact that government chooses to recognize marriage as something they deem beneficial to society is acceptable.
Sure.
But they are not even the arbiter of marriage.
Right.
God is.
Right.
God predates the United States of America. God predates France and England. If the government decided that marriage is no longer something they wanted to participate in, Christians would still do marriage because it is a biblical mandate long before it's a governmental ideal. And that's what people don't
Even
understand.
without the tax breaks.
Exactly.
That's why the government's like, yeah, sure.
Yeah. So there is no such thing as gay marriage because the government or polygamy or what because the government is not the creator or arbiter of marriage. God is. The fact that governments choose to recognize it for other gains is acceptable, but that doesn't make them the creator of it. That's what Hunter was saying. I think he said it exactly right.
Yeah. Going back on the listener's question, though, with her asking, or with the person asking, I don't remember if it was a girl or guy, should I support my friend? You can still love your friend, but you don't have to support everything that you do. And that's one thing. I mean, you know, I grew up with a friend of mine. He was gay, and he still is gay, and I think he's engaged and, you know, whatever. And I would tell him, you know, I love you, but it's like, as a Christian, like I don't approve of that. And it's like, and you can't get mad at me because this is what Scripture says. And it's like, and I'm going to do what is, you know, God calls me to do, and I'm going to be obedient to that. But just because you don't support your friend in something, like, doesn't make you a bad friend. This could actually give you an opportunity to talk to said friend and, like, hey, like, what's really going on? Like, why do you feel like you need this second identity to escape reality?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? Let's get to the root of the problem.
Makes you a better friend.
As
yeah, right.
exactly, as insane as I guess I'll use the word. This will be the first time this has passed through my lips.
Yes.
As insane as the idea of someone being a furry is,
Clip that.
it is not. Anna's exactly right. No, you can't support that if you're a Christian. No, that's a mockery of God. That doesn't mean I would not take that person out to lunch or invite them to my home
Right.
in certain
Still
circumstances,
extend grace and mercy.
or invite them to church or go to a grizz. That's not the question, right? That's not the question. The question is a bad example there, I guess. The question is, so support and love. If you love someone, you tell them the truth.
Yes.
If you love somebody, you tell them the truth. Sometimes we use the word support as a euphemism for lie and let people be deceived and double down in their rebellion. That's not what support is supposed to mean.
That's good.
Yeah, and I'll say this. When I was young, my dad taught me this. I don't remember what prompted
Thought he was about
it.
to give a testimony about this.
No, no.
Hunter's wearing tails
When I was young,
around.
my dad taught me what a furry was, and he said, "Son, sometimes you'll see these paws around the house." And, no,
Poor Marty.
no. When I don't know what prompted this conversation, but I just remember it because I was just like, "Oh, dang!" Because it kind of hit me with the reality check that sometimes, no matter how blinded by society and your day-to-day routine and your friendships can make you, you have to remember that as a Christian, you are required to hold a different level of righteousness, and you have to draw a line. I'm very, very big on drawing lines. Like, these are things I will not do. These are things I will never allow myself to do, even if nobody's watching. These are the things that if I do that, then I am not a man. Just like I say, like when my dad would tell me, a man is only as good as his word, and that goes on to your what am I thinking of?
It follows you through life.
If
Is that what
you're
trying to say?
trustworthy,
Character.
that's not the word.
Integrity.
There it is.
Ah.
Thank you. I was in my head. I was spelling it,
Good
and it started
answer.
with an
Good
E,
answer.
and I was like, "That's not right." Yeah, integrity. But anyway, he was telling me, you can have atheist friends. You can have friends that sin and do all these other things, but they can never be your best friend. Your best friend cannot have God not in common with you.
Well, and it's like your best friend. It's like iron sharpens iron. That's Scripture. It's
Right.
like you need your best friend to be able to kick you in the butt and sharpen you.
He said, if God is the most important thing in your life that you care the most about, how can you be best friends with somebody who does not share that in common? And so I was just like, that reminded me and has helped me so much in my life, choosing and picking, the levels of friendship I have with people. I can be good friends with somebody who's a furry, but I will never be very close, intimate friends with somebody who practices stuff like that, because I can't. because we do
Hunter
not
would
share
make fun
the,
of them and just laugh
Oh,
in their faces.
yeah, oh my
like
gosh.
we've
And
seen here today.
oh my gosh. And I do that to all my friends, who who have any eccentricity at all, or even if they don't, but I'm just like, I can't do that because they don't share my God with me.
Yeah.
So it's like, maybe if you two are besties, and best friends, that might be a chance to say, maybe I need to evaluate the level of friendship I allow myself to have with people who do not share my God with me.
Yeah. But I would also
I'm not
think,
saying screw them. I'm just saying,
well, and like I said earlier, it would be a good opportunity for that friend to show grace and mercy.
Yeah.
To the other, and just be a witness, to your friend who is, I don't know how you would put it, just like being a furry, like dressing up as a furry, doing whatever. So yeah, that's kind of where I stand. Okay.
Yeah, but it's also, and I just want to cover our
Yeah.
bases here. There's a difference between people who have shared, hey, I struggle with this, or hey, like these are the things that I do behind closed doors. What do you think? Versus the people who show up to school with the tail popping out of their pants and all that stuff, and are openly practicing things as well. So I feel like there's a level of witnessing that should be coming from you. In other words, they should be able to see a difference in you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know what to do, and if you are having trouble wondering, how do I go about this? If I know that I can't support it, I know that I want to be their friend, you need to make sure that they see a light in you that is different from everybody else that they see, so that when you take those hard stances, you can fall back on everything else that they see out of you and stand on a solid foundation of, look what I did today, yesterday, and tomorrow. Like you can know that this is the type of person I am, and so when I make that stand, I can fall back on, the beliefs that you've seen in me.
Well said.
Yeah.
Do we
Very
want to
well
move?
said.
Do we want to move on to the next?
Sure. Is that everything?
Is-
Are
do
there
you
any
have anything?
questions?
No, I think you've answered all of them successfully.
I just love how it's
There's
showing
so
them all
much
these
that
other
I
pictures.
haven't said.
You can stop.
that
But
just
you know what's
don't need to be
amazing?
said.
That feeling of that I had 20 minutes ago of, wow, I didn't even realize that existed. The way this world's going, that will be true of all of us. Not 50 years from now.
Yeah.
1 year from now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. The Bible calls it inventors of evil.
Mm.
Ooh.
Wow.
Inventors. In the last days, perilous times will come, for men will be lovers of themselves, boastful, arrogant, inventors of evil.
And I'll say, just as clarification, current day furries, or whenever they started really being a thing, didn't invent that. What he's saying is there are different ways to do the same sin.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Because just back in the old days, you can look back at mythology and the creatures that they'd create, and
Oh,
you're
my
going to
goodness.
tell me
Exactly.
that nobody thought, and was just like messed up, and just looking at those things like,
Right.
guarantee that furries have been a thing for a long time. Just in the 21st century,
We have
they
the
said,
materials to make.
we
these
have the
costumes.
materials, to take Disney characters and do terrible things.
I mean, some of the Canaanite gods, we talked about this in Sunday school this morning, some of the Canaanite gods were half men, half
Mhm.
fish or whatever.
Merman.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Merman.
Yeah, Dagon, the god of the Philistines.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's always
That
been
was
a thing.
that was a good point, Pastor.
Yeah. So we have this video that we're going to react to and talk about to close us out.
And some of you need to step into blessing, and you do that with an act of faith.
Yes.
$300. Why is that significant? It's significant, number one, because it got your attention. And it's significant, number two, because that's what the prophet.
It got your attention.
It got. First of all, what the first thing I want to point out is significant because it got your attention.
Got $300.
So imagine trying to convince somebody to give you $300 U.S. cash, and you're going to say your number one most important point. That number got your attention, didn't it? Like, that's a crazy amount, isn't it?
$300.
It's like 300, that's a crazy amount,
Is
right?
this a pastor?
I think
I
so.
pray not, but I don't know.
Is there a name associated with this?
We can't see the monitors far away. What is
Alright,
the
we'll figure it out
monitor
later.
say?
Keep playing this garbage.
But if God spoke, you say, but I may not have $300 right now. Well, what do you have? Do you have 100? Do you have 150? Take a step of faith toward God right now. But everyone who wants to move to greatness, listen to the voice of God. $300.
That was the voice of God.
That was the voice of
But
God.
yeah, if you look
That was a
here,
lot more
it says
annoying
like
than I
great
expected.
prosperity, all of that. If you can look at the thumbnail.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I'm being fair. This is not the context of he is in his church preaching to just his people. This is a
On
public,
TV, yeah.
Yeah,
a commercial.
Yes.
that's
Ah,
a
okay.
commercial.
And it's the greatness and the blessing for $300.
you know
Greatness
what
and
I kind of feel
I
like?
messaged in the group and I was just like, what does this greatness entail? It's pretty vague.
Well, you know what
Spending $300, I want to know what I'm buying.
this little commercial reminds me of. Do you know those shows that only come on like certain channels, but it's just these dudes and they have an item on the spinny table and they're saying, call now for this.
Oh, like
and,
the
and it really targets old people who don't really know any better. Say, this is worth $3,000 and you can get it today for
Like the
only
shopping
$299.99. Yeah,
the shopping
little
channels,
shopping
yeah.
channels, and they have all the gas
jewelry
station
and
knives
stuff.
and bad jewelry, trying to get money from old people for basically nothing. That's kind of how I feel like this is. He's like, do you want greatness? Do you want $300?
But if you saw on the bottom, like on the screen of that TikTok, it says we accept all major credit cards.
And this is a commercial for his quote ministry.
Yeah.
I mean, like, ministry of what? Greatness?
That's why I said, what is the greatness? It says great prosperity. The two kings for it's the number 2 kings, number 4 ministry. The 2 kings for ministry.
So,
Read
I very much would love
broadparsley.com.
to sit here and make fun of this guy for the next 20 minutes. But let's go ahead and do this. Can somebody explain to me, just for the argument's sake, of somebody out there who says, well, why can't that be real? Why is he not referring to Micah when he says that greatness will be given to you when you give your money? Because didn't Micah not say, we talked about it this morning, actually, which is really funny, bring the tithing to the storehouses. Test me. Just see if I won't open up the gates of heaven and bless you.
Malachi did say that.
That was not Micah, Malachi.
Yeah. You said Malachi. You did.
Let's
Good
go
job.
with that.
Yeah.
Because I'm
This
90% sure I
happened
said
last
Micah.
week, I'm pretty sure too. But yeah, you
Yeah.
said Malachi. Good job.
It's an M.
Well, because Malachi was teaching that. He was first teaching that to the priests and pastors, as we read this morning. The example in Malachi this morning was that the priests were telling the people to offer up their offering and their tithes, but then they, since they didn't have, and you remember when you were supposed to give your offering, you're supposed to give the best of what you have. Well, since the priests did not have currency, did not have except what was given to them by the people, they were buying lame, blind, 3-legged goats and sacrificing that they could get for very cheap, and then saying they were giving their sacrifice. So the first immediate context of who that's talking about is pastors.
Yeah.
So in Malachi 3:10, the immediate context is speaking to the priest. You bring me that and see if I won't open the floodgates. Secondly, the only context that we see a collection being taken up in the New Testament is in the local church. So, if you want to ask for donations for your ministry, I think that's totally acceptable.
Sure.
Heck, we would take that, no problem.
Yeah.
But if you are saying that is what Malachi is talking
Yeah, that
about,
prophet.
if you're saying that's what Paul was speaking to, that people from outside your congregation give to your ministry, that's fine, but that is not a fulfillment of what Corinthians or Thessalonians or Malachi is talking about. And then finally, and most importantly, God does not work in a quid pro, I can't say that word.
Quid pro quo.
Thank you, basis. God does tend to reward obedience and punish disobedience. That's at his behest when he feels like it. We obey because we're told to. In saying that you got some message, some vision from God that everyone listening should give $300 is just, it's baloney. That's just untrue. God has already required from everybody everything they have. So telling other people that you have a vision from God, that they're supposed to give this amount of ministry to you, or the famous old one was, if you call right now, we'll send you this pen. If with this pen you write a check to my ministry. By the way, even great people, let me argue strongly against naming a ministry after yourself. Just really seems like you're going to have a hard time with humility required. Anyway, and you write a check with this pen, God will bless you surely. Where does it say that in the Bible? Where does it say that in the Bible?
Well, I looked this guy's website up.
Yeah, go ahead.
And so on his homepage, this is rodparsley.com.
Mm-hmm.
It says, receive the blessing of first fruits. God has a perfect plan for your abundance and blessing. And you decide whether you want to put that plan in motion now to increase you throughout 2023.
If that guy really wanted to promote the biblical mandate of giving, he would have said in his commercial, if you'd like to donate to our ministries, you're more than welcome to. We do this amount of things, and this is what we do with the money. But if that would keep you from obeying God's commandment to give in your local church, then do not give to me.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been more respectable.
Even more so, I feel like the real danger is that he's trying to monetize God. And he's trying to
manipulating,
monetize and sell.
Oh, so he's not even saying. He's not even saying. Maybe I missed.
Yeah,
he's not even saying we're going on a mission trip. He's saying God will release His blessing if you give this money to me.
Now, just
Oh, wow.
just for the sake of context, we did not see his full interview or full commercial. We don't know what happened before or after. So maybe he's saying, hey, let's donate to this or that. But the way he's going about it and judging on the website is all about, I am trying to sell you greatness to carry you through 2023. If you send this money, I am selling you God's blessings as if he is the middleman who can give you God's blessings, but only if he receives the $300.
Yeah, you know what? Our first presentation was best case scenario, giving him the benefit of the doubt.
Yes.
But you're right. If he is saying that, yes, he is the one who holds the keys to unlocking the power of God's genie in the bottleness to give you the blessing, that's blasphemous.
Well, and he uses, let me read the rest of this really quick. It says, how do you activate the promises? By bringing your first fruits offering, a God-established principle for your success every year at the beginning of the year. And then he quotes Proverbs 3:9-10. Says, honor the Lord with your
first fruits.
Yes, substance in the first fruits of all your increase, so barns will be filled with plenty, and your presses will burst out with new wine. But the thing is, going through this guy's website, it goes through his receiving this type of blessing and this type of revival, and so it's he talks about that. It talks about other ways.
Watch this. This is how it should go. You ready?
Yes.
Hey, if you want to give the Witten Baptist Church of the Point Taking podcast, you're allowed to. We're going to do more stuff like this and get gospel out further. If you don't, keep watching. We don't care. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to step into greatness?
I will shut this podcast down.
$300.
Okay, he's
and
quoting.
Point Taken podcast will draw you a persona better than any other persona.
How did you do that with a straight face? How did you do that with a straight face?
And it'll look like that's our model, but that with a a dog.
Oh, you
head.
mean we'll sell them a shirt?
No,
That's what.
no,
Hey,
no,
we'll
the
give you one of
mannequin.
our
The
shirts.
mannequin will be our model.
He has a name. Have you forgotten?
Will Finnegan.
Okay, because I did.
Finnegan the model will be our AI stand-in. We'll cover it with fur, put a tail on it, and $300.
Of course, we'll be doing none of that. Just to be clear.
Yeah.
No.
And then the storehouses will overflow with greatness. That really brings it together. Huh?
It does.
Thank you, Finnegan.
You know what? And of course, it's ridiculous, so we laugh. But
He sells DVDs and CDs and digital downloads too to go
Yeah.
over this. Go
Yeah.
over this.
Well, thank goodness for the digital downloads.
I mean, our pastor did this in this morning's sermon, so you can just watch it on free at YouTube. You don't have to pay for
that
this.
guy will stand before the throne room of God one day, and
Ooh.
we'll be getting a rude awakening.
Well, I hope he repents for that.
Yeah,
His
me
eyes
too.
are opened, his heart is opened, and he repents for that.
I hope
for
so
sure.
too.
They didn't give all his greatness away.
But it's just it's
Right.
like the prosperity gospel, that they're teaching, and that it makes me sick. It's like you're not concerned about that. You just want. But okay, my thing was, like in our group message, I almost commented. I was like, well, I'll just hold this for for the actual podcast. It's like $300. If you can't do that, what about $100? I'm like, you think if they can't do $300, they're going to be able to do $100? Why not just like do anything you
Does
can?
that give you a less amount of great? He never went into
I'm like,
that.
that's still a lot. But yeah, what is the greatness? It's just
He
so
only gives
vague.
you
Granted, we
get
didn't see the whole ad.
$100 worth of greatness.
Yeah, but like, what does that entail? It's like, what am I going to get less blessing because I'm giving less?
That's what it sounds
money?
like. He is exactly what
Yeah.
he's saying.
And
But
I'm
at
just
least
like, that is so bogus.
You get a little bit of blessing. But what really got me is point number 2. 1, it got your attention. And that's true. He really nailed us
It
there.
did, yeah.
Because he had my attention at $300. But 2, it's what the prophet of God said.
Yeah, which prophet is that?
I'm
Which
wondering.
scripture?
That's why I
Was he
thought it
on
was Malachi.
himself?
I
I
don't
don't know.
know.
I
Oh,
want to
God.
find
That's
the
what
whole ad now.
best case scenario. He was talking about Malachi and just didn't understand. Worst case scenario.
He's talking about himself.
You know what got my attention?
It's
He's
a false
talking. He's the
prophet.
prophet of God.
Oh man, we have to find this whole.
All right, now
thing.
here, I'll tie it all
I'll
together.
watch it.
If
Yeah.
that's what he meant, he is a furry because he has. Let me tell you why. Because he has sheep's clothing he is wearing over himself as a false prophet.
Oh,
That was
never
good.
in my years, never in my Christian years. Wolves in sheep's clothing. They're furry. You're the greatest.
The greatest of all time. You're the goat.
Oh!
All right.
Wolf in sheep.
All these furry
Oh
jokes.
my god!
Oh.
It's a wolf whose persona is a sheep. Oh my gosh! This is the best day of my life.
That's what Jesus had in mind, for sure. 100%.
He said he really is a furry. Guys.
I love it. This is probably one of my favorite
Dude,
episodes this aired.
Oh,
I like the wheezy laugh.
he's got an ab workout laughing so much.
God. My cheeks hurt.
We missed you, Hunter.
Yeah, really did.
I missed being here.
We really
We
did.
missed
This
all
was
our
the
crew.
greatest.
Are you
episode
and
to
Dalton
come back.
wearing the same shoes? I've been noticing it for 10 minutes.
We-
If you watch
we
this
both got-
podcast like carefully, you'll see me like looking at that half the time.
Well, they're new. I got them for
What
Christmas.
does it say?
They're called
They're on
On Clouds. I never heard of them before.
They're nice.
I got them for Christmas. They were
On
gifted.
clouds.
They were gifted to me.
If you stood on a cloud, you'd fall to the earth and die because clouds don't have substance that you can stand
These
on.
were bought
But
for
they're
me
so
by
cushy,
my
soft.
fiance's parents,
Clouds aren't soft.
and they're very soft.
No, those maybe.
These are
clouds
soft. Yeah,
Are
cloud.
not.
They're
clouds,
not soft.
Clouds are water. Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, if you like this podcast and you learned a whole lot today,
Should we say share this video? It scares
Yes.
me.
absolutely,
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right.
the world needs to know.
Yeah.
Guys, share the video, like, comment, subscribe. If you have more questions,
Drop them in
if
the
you have more
comments.
questions, drop
Send
them in
them.
the
All
comments.
right.
If we didn't cover something you felt like needed
No,
to be
I think we
covered,
covered everything today, man.
or if you agreed or disagreed, let us know in the comments. You can also email us at listenpointtaken@gmail.com. That's listen with a T, point taken, no spaces, @gmail.com. You can also DM us on Instagram, Point Taken Christian Podcast, and comment on the video, guys. But until then, Deuces.
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 He could sell not only the coffee that he's drinking, but the jeans he's drinking them in.